Do you know what I love?
Board games?
No. I mean, yes.
Snacks?
I love
Kittens.
a game
Puppies?
that's easy to learn,
Yeah.
but
Don't we all?
hard to master.
Hard to master.
Boom, intro. Hello everyone, welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about
Board games.
and
Board gamey things.
Exactly. We are here today with another video. Big shocker for everybody. But today's video topic is all about games that are easy to learn but hard to master.
Indeed.
There's one game that we didn't put on this list, but for me, I just gotta say it. Dro Polter. Good luck mastering this one. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not wrong.
I think maybe if you had small hands.
I do have small hands.
Do you?
I don't know. Do I? Maybe not. Oh my god, they look huge. Well, they're smaller than yours.
I have monster hands, though.
I have monster lady hands. Ow. Big distraction. Anyways, we're here today to talk about 10 games that we feel are easy to learn and hard to master. Now, easy to learn is relatively subjective, okay? Because
It's
keep in mind that, I mean, like, you could objectively say that a game about bouncing a ball is easy, objectively, because you just, that's it.
For some people, that's
For some
easy.
people, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, just keep in mind that Jeff and I have played so many games that generally we have an easier time learning games, but I think that these ones are still easy to learn.
Yeah.
Okay? Anyways, here we go. The first one on the list, I think, is like the epitome of easy to learn, hard to master. And that is Azul. Pick your Azul. They're all kind of the same, except some of them are a little bit harder. But let's just talk about base Azul, because that's basically the only one that you've played. You've played
That's
one
not
other,
true.
Stained Glass. Anyways.
Throw me under the bus like that.
Azul is an abstract game that doesn't have a ton of rules.
No.
And when you're playing it, you're like, this is easy. But then you start playing against people who are really good at Azul. And you're like,
What is this newfound game?
how do I do good at this game? So the thing about Azul is that you can be so good at it to the point where like you're blowing people out of the water. Jeff knows somebody who's like got a million plays in.
My old boss.
Yes, I played with a couple at Level Up, Stephanie and Jake, right? Remember your name that time, Jake, who play Azul so much, and they literally crushed me. They crushed me. And I just like, this game is so good because anybody can play it.
Yep.
But not everybody can be good at it.
No.
But if you work hard enough, you could be just like the people who crush other people like me in Azul. It's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Next one up on our list is a friendly little cat game. You play on a blanket, and it's called Boop. Boop is a abstract chess-like game where you are moving kittens and cats around this grid in order to ultimately get 3 cats in a row. Sounds simple, however, the placement rules of this game are very weird. So cats, if you place a cat, will push all cats around it 1 space away. Cats will push other cats and kittens 1 space away, so far that they can push each other off of the board. So it's not like you can just place a cat and be like, all right, I got 3 in a row. No, they're going to move your cats and the other person's cats or kittens around on this board. So it's really about where are these things going to be pushed so that I can optimize my line of 3 kittens, because 3 kittens in a line will upgrade to 3 cats. 3 cats in a line will win you the game.
Obviously.
There's also Boop,
Boo.
which adds ghosts to the game. But it's really like you can get very good at this game, and I think at this point I've gotten very good at this game just from having played 30 or more games with Joe back to back to back.
Yeah.
It is a game that, again, any of those chess-like games,
Yeah, you're gonna see.
you're gonna see a easy to learn, hard to master kind of scenario unfold.
Boop, in and of itself, is a very approachable game. It does not have a huge rule set, doesn't have a huge rule book, but it is extremely difficult to get good at it, in my opinion. And if you play against somebody, just like Azul, if you play against somebody who's good at it, they will crush you, like, instantly. So, you can definitely...
I've had that unfold numerous times lately.
Me too, every time that I play. The third game on this list is Calico.
Sticking with the cat theme.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Every single one of these games, you could throw a cat in there, and honestly, it'd just make it better.
Sure.
In my opinion. But Calico is another abstract game. Do you see a theme? I think a lot of abstract games generally can be a relatively easy rule set, but hard to master. Calico is one of those games that it is puzzly in a way that you want to be able to achieve everything, and you just can't do it.
But if you do.
Now, the thing about Calico is, like, essentially it's a puzzle. You're building out a quilt for cats to sleep on, but within the quilt, there are different objectives that you're trying to get. So, like, in this section of the board, you want to the same, or through the same to whatever. And you have to look at both color and pattern, because cats care about these things. And it's so, like, brain burny.
It's hard to see.
It's hard.
Everything going on.
It's so hard to master this game in particular. And, like, the reason I know it's hard to master is because if you look at the solo challenges, the scores that you could potentially score, I don't think exist. Not when I play.
They're just fake.
They're just fake. They're just throwing them in there for some sort of, like, expert level genius. But anyways, I think that this one is definitely on that list. The more you play it, the better you might get at it. But even then, like, you need to be able to visualize in a way that is just difficult to do.
It's very, very true. All right, next up is one game that's in a series of 3 abstract games that are all somewhat similar, but we've chosen Sagani.
Yes.
So the other 2 games, just for context, are Nova Luna and Framework. I always say Pipeline.
It's an Uwe special.
Framework.
Uwe trio.
They all play relatively the same, but we chose Sagani because it's my favorite. It's my favorite.
Smack.
Sagani is an abstract game where you are placing out tiles, and those tiles require different colors to be attached to them by lines of sight, basically, diagonal above, side, below. And once you have those adjacent tiles next to it, you get to flip that to score its points.
Yeah.
I think there is a baked-on theme here where it's almost like genies in lamps or pots or something like that.
Yeah.
And when you flip the tile, it's like you releasing the genie from its...
It could be anything.
Whatever.
Let's be honest.
But ultimately what you're doing is placing out these tiles, and it's really difficult to optimize this because when you place out a tile, depending on how many colors it requires around it, you're going to be placing your discs on those tiles. So, for example, if I place a tile out that has white, green, and red on it, I need to place 3 tiles on that tile. And or 3 discs on that tile. As I attach those corresponding colors, I then can place my disc on the colors. If I get all 3, I flip the tile and get my discs back.
Yeah.
So if you ever run out of discs, you're going to start taking red discs, and red discs are negative points, and you're going to run out of discs real fast if you're not optimizing your turns.
Yeah.
This is definitely a game that if you play with people that know what they're doing, you're going to get crushed.
Yeah.
There is a lot of puzzling. There's ideal tiles that come out at certain points that you want to place.
You gotta be able to think.
You have
ahead.
to be able to think 3 or 4 steps ahead, which is somewhat normal for these abstract games and why most of them are on this list. But Sagani is one that definitely fits the mold.
The next one on the list is both an older and a newer game. Riddle me that one, Batman.
Riddle me that.
That is Shipwrights of the North Sea, but we're specifically talking about the Redux one because that's the one that we have played. This game, Jeff taught it to me really quickly. Like,
Under 10
basically,
minutes.
all you're doing is you're drafting cards, and then you are putting out those cards in order to optimize and score points. So what you're doing is you're laying out ships that you eventually need to get resources in order to launch those ships. You're putting out huts. And then you're putting up people so that you can create more action spots. Here's the thing. This is like an engine builder, like extreme, I think. So engine builders, I often find, will fall into this category as well, because like you need to look at your cards in a way that you know that it's okay for me to get rid of this card to get this resource because it's going to let me trigger this thing. And if I can trigger this thing, then I can launch this ship or build this ship. And if I pick up this guy, then he's going to let me do this. And then, you know, at the same time, also maybe focusing a little bit on what the other player's doing because you're drafting cards. So I don't want to give Jeff a card that he's potentially needs. There's just so much going on. And in our first play, at the end of it, we were both like, I can see that the more you play this game, the better that you will possibly get at it, because like if you learn the cards and you learn how to better work your engine, you could just blow it out of the water. But easy rule set, but man, like scoring a ton of points in that game. There's these tracks that you could go up. These two dummies barely went up any tracks. And we're like, how do we get up these tracks? Like we're not doing this in the optimized way.
Tight decision space with like not a lot of margin for error if you want to score optimally.
It do be facts though.
All right, next up is another abstract-y chess-like game from ID Studios, and that is Mythic Mischief. Mythic Mischief is a school-themed chess-like game where you are ultimately trying to get the other team's students caught by, depending on which one you're playing, by like librarian or groundskeeper. And you're doing that by playing like unique abilities, so there's a ton of asymmetry. Each faction has some sort of asymmetrical ability, but basic premise is you're moving around this board to optimally get put into positions where you can place the other team in front of the path of the librarian or groundskeeper. How I know this game is easy to learn, hard to master is because I learned this game very quickly, and I started playing it on the app with people that had been playing it a lot longer than me, and I got destroyed.
I'm so bad at this game.
Not even remotely close to winning. This is definitely a game that requires multiple plays in order to optimize strategy and understand factions and how they interact, and knowing how the other factions work is important too.
The asymmetry is.
But the game itself is very simple. Use an ability, do the action. And none of the abilities are overly complicated. It might be like swap places with you and an enemy, or move a wall, or move the groundskeeper, or move the librarian. It's very easy to set up, play. Very difficult to be good at.
Oof, I'm so bad at that game. Ridiculous. So the next one on this list is a relatively new game to us that, honestly, the first time that I saw the box, I was like, this game it's probably so heavy. Like, it really, like, I hesitated to learn it because I was like, oh my God, it's going to be a huge rules teach. But it wasn't. And that is Oceans. So Oceans, like, Nick taught it to us, and he taught it to us pretty quickly. Everything just kind of makes sense. It's really easy. You play out cards that are going to trigger off other cards, and then you're taking fish from here and then putting fish here and eating fish and doing stuff. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Yeah, very easy.
And then you play it, and every card triggers off of another card. Every card has some kind of a special ability. If you, like, every round, basically, like, you're trying to fill up your species with fish. With food. And every round, some of that food is going to go away. It's going to
score you points.
Get eaten, score you points, whatever. If your species has no fish, it goes extinct. We don't really want that to happen because then you're not scoring points.
Correct.
So you're trying to like trigger things off, but like some of the cards you're playing are triggering off the people around you. Or you can trigger them off of your other fish based on where you place them. This game melted my brain. Like Jeff and Nick were just doing stuff, and I was like, I have like one fish that's doing nothing. All of my species kept dying, and I was like, my brain was blown. And I was like, wow, like if you played this game a lot, Like, I can just see how, like, you could be able to develop those, like, techniques and those strategies.
Those combos.
And those combos. Yeah. Combo City.
It is Combo City.
But I think that this game, like, falls really well into this category. And not only that, but I wanted to mention it because it looks like a game that has a huge rule set. Yeah. And it just doesn't. No. Like, it's not a complicated game.
The bigger learn is knowing what all the card abilities are.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, next up is one of my favorite games of all time. If you haven't checked out our favorite games of all time, you can go do that.
You should do that. It's on my list, too.
It is Res Arcana. Yeah. Res Arcana is a race to 10-point engine builder wherein you are going to be dealt a hand of cards in the way I play it anyway, not the draft variant, which I think is the weaker variant of the two. You're going to be dealt a hand of cards, and it's up to you to figure out how to optimize that puzzle, because those are the cards you're going to have for the entirety of the game. In Res Arcana, you're playing out cards to your engine. You can discard cards for resources in order to build other cards to get places of power, which are your main winning condition, your main factory for victory points. Mm-hmm. You're going to take one action on your turn, pass to someone else. They're going to take an action, and this is going to go back and forth until someone hits 10 points. This is a game that really requires multiple plays in order to optimize your skill set.
Yes, Jeff has like all the cards memorized at this point.
I've played this game enough now where if I'm playing with someone that doesn't know how to play, I basically will be like, okay, I'm going to try something I've never tried before. Because I'm very confident I'm probably going to win that game. That being said, I've taught it to Mike over at the Brothers Murph, and we've been playing back and forth recently, and now Mike is beating me probably more than I'm beating him. This is definitely a game that can be taught. I can teach this game in 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. It is very, very easy to play. The iconography is probably the biggest hurdle, but even then, it's not overly complicated. It's like tap a card and gain a resource. It's very easy to learn, very hard to master, because you have to know how all of these things integrate to each other, how
synchronize with each other.
This card's going to help you get these types of resources in order to get this place of power. There's also a little bit of interaction between player and player, depending on if they use dragons and stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's very, in my opinion, very simple to learn, very, very difficult to be good at.
Okay, the next one that I want to talk about is a solo-only game by our good friend, Friedman Freeze. My BFF.
King.
Hope I meet him someday, and I hope I don't embarrass myself like I did with John D. Clare. Okay, that game is Friday. So Friday is such an easy game to learn. It's just some cards, some tokens, whatever. You're just trying to help somebody survive. But the cards are all like multi-use cards. Mm-hmm. And the thing about, like, this game is notoriously difficult to win. Mm-hmm. I've never won. There's probably going to be so many people in the comments who are like, I always win that game. Well, guess what? I don't.
Friday is notoriously difficult.
It is. Yeah. And so, like, in this game, the reason why it's so difficult is because sometimes you have to sacrifice certain cards to, like, lose the round. Because if you lose, then you're going to be gaining cards, and you could potentially get some, like, life or leaves back or whatever. It is so difficult for me, anyways, to know when to do that. Mm-hmm. Like, when do I want to win this hand, and when don't I want to win? Mm-hmm. And then you go through this whole thing, and you're feeling so good if you're, like, building up your little deck and whatever. Then you have, like, an end boss battle, essentially, that's also very hard. But there are some people out there who have figured it out. Yeah. Okay, there's going to be some luck that comes with Friday, just based on, like, how the cards come up and everything. So, like, you have to decide, like, do I want to fight this thing, or do I want to fight this thing? And then you go through, like, easy, medium, hard, and then you go into the boss battle. And, like, there are strategies that you can develop the more you play. I just have not figured out what those are. And I think, like the decisions between, should I just lose this? Or should I not? Like, it's going to take some experience before you get up there. But I feel like that one is just so, like, the rule book is, like, nothing.
One page.
Do you know what else? Just shout out to Freeman Freeze. Fast loss. Because, like, how are you getting from one spot to another? That game's super easy to learn. I've mastered it. What about you? I'm the fastest sloth you ever did see.
All right, last up on our list is another engine builder, surprise, surprise, and it is thematically an engine builder as well, and that is Furnace. Furnace is as straight an engine builder as you probably could play.
Yes.
You are going to be playing out cards that produce resources that you turn into other resources in order to score victory points. So you might have coal that turns into iron, and that iron turns into gold or what have you. That's the entire game. You're going to be having and placing these cards out in your tableau, and you're going to be triggering those cards in order to score victory points. There is a draft element, auction-y-esque. It's not quite auctiony in the same way as like I'm gonna bid 2 and I'm gonna bid 3. It's basically you're putting out a token, and those tokens are valued from like 1 to I can't remember, like 4. And depending on who's the highest, they will take that card. But the thing is, you can take that card and add it to your tableau, or if you lose, you get to discard it for like the resources or whatever.
Yeah, you get to take the resources.
So Furnace has a ton of cards and a ton of different ways to score victory points. Maybe you built up a really good engine for coal in order to score coal as victory points, for example. There's so many paths to victory, and there's so many cards, and they all combo off of each other. That is very hard to understand and keep track of what the optimized strategy is. But if you play against someone that has played this game a ton, you're going to get completely creamed. Just because of understanding what cards you want to add to your tableau for victory points, what cards you don't want to, what cards you want to add for just straight resources,
when to tap what,
and which cards you want to draft out of the middle and spend your high value auction token for those cards. There's a lot going on, and it's very hard to master.
You can just literally see the wheels turning in people's heads when they play this, because they're like, well, if I do this now, I could get this, and I could do this, and I could do, and then I could do this, and I could do that. But if I didn't do that, and then that's what goes on in your head when you play that game.
It's true.
So those are the 10 games. I just want to say that I do think dexterity games belong on this list. We didn't put any on, but think about it.
I did think about it.
Crokinole, easy to learn. Extremely hard to master.
That's fair.
Like,
that's fair.
Right?
Ice cool.
Ice cool. Like, you need to develop that flicking strategy.
Flick of faith.
Flick of faith. Flip ships.
Flip ships.
Dexterity. Rhino hero. Etc. Okay? I think these games that are, most of them many of them made for children, can be the hardest ones to master, because I think as you get older, you just get a little bit more off kilter.
Yeah, I have a shaky hand now.
You got a shaky hand. Anyways, we'd love to know in the comments below, what are some games that you think fall into the category of easy to learn, hard to master? We'd love to know. 2 thumbs up. But that is everything that we have for today. Now, if you're interested in buying board games, like any of the many we mentioned today, you should first start by checking your friendly local gaming store. And for us, that is
the Boardroom Game Cafe.
Heck yeah, it is. You like snacks?
I do.
Perfect. Where do you get snacks?
Lunch pack.
Yeah, I just have it with me all the time. You? You don't just get hungry randomly?
You don't just carry it around?
Because I do. We have a $5 coupon if you're interested. Don't forget to sign up for Foster the Game-a-Thon if you haven't already, March 23rd to 24th. We're playing games 24 hours. We're not sleeping. We're just eating snacks. Maybe for Munchback even.
Maybe.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see,
please subscribe.
We hope to see you again soon. And now we say goodbye. Goodbye.
Later it is. What?
Those.
These?
Yeah.
No, I was talking about this.
Oh.
Those just taste like Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Too thick. I'd rather just eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Okay.
Escape from reality. Ooh.
Yeah, bite of this and then we'll go.
Open your eyes and see.
Kind of coconutty.
I don't really like them.
Next up.
I held it.
Have you noticed I haven't been yawning as much?
Yeah, you're doing